Okay. Good morning, everyone. And today we'll begin our first full day of the retreat. I think it's always helpful when we begin a retreat, whether it's a short retreat, long retreat, but to review some of the fundamentals of the practice. Review some of the fundamentals of what is our practice based on? What's its goal? So that gives a good foundation to begin to work from. And of course, there are many angles that one can work from, but say tried and true, well-tested foundation is always the four foundations of mindfulness. So that just bringing to mind those foundations of mindfulness and recognizing that all of our meditation, all of our cultivation, all of our opportunity for insight and discernment are grounded in those four foundations of mindfulness. And when the Buddha himself talked about the four foundations of mindfulness, he called it the direct path. Ekayana magho. It's a path going in one direction only is a good way of describing it. So that as we return to those foundations of mindfulness, then it helps to place us on the path of practice, path of training, path of clarity. Also, when the Buddha talked about the say the purpose of the four foundations of mindfulness, he talked about it in terms of for the say what is its purpose, what's its function. It's for the purification of beings. That sense of developing a purification, which might sound a bit strong or strange. We have pretty weird ideas of what purity is, but I think in general, just in terms of purification, more as a good a good house cleaning is like a house cleaning of the mind. It's really how satisfying it is to when you've cleaned up the a room or something that you've been accumulating junk for who knows how long, and just how satisfying it is to look on that kind of that clear, clean space, and that if you look at it from that simple perspective, that's maybe more what purification is pointing to, like a kind of a deep cleansing, and recognizing that this mind, this heart is in it's in it's in need of a certain cleansing, and just tidying up, getting a deep clean to shake off some of the things that have been crusting up the mind, our habits, our kind of assumptions and biases that inevitably creep in, and it just gives us an opportunity to kind of to shake that off and come to a place of kind of cleansing. So that purpose of purification of being, saying an overcoming of sorrow and lamentation. We tend to the mind goes to sad places, or lamenting, this sense of lamentation of bemoaning or moaning about what it should have been, and what I should have been, what the world should have been, and that's an addition to the mind. It's not really what the fundamental mind is like, or the mind, the possibility of the mind. So that overcoming of sorrow and lamentation, that sense of being, kind of sadness, because there is a tremendous amount of sadness of looking at the world, looking at ourselves, and either regret or remorse or that sense of kind of overwhelm at how things have turned out, in that sense of it shouldn't be this way, and and it's easy to sort of go there on a logical basis, but emotionally that is it's really limits us, and mindfulness gives us an opportunity to those four foundations of mindfulness, when cultivated and developed, gives us the path to overcoming that tendency to sorrow, lamentation, or the kind of and the third thing that the Buddha points to is just the elimination of pain and grief. These are these different manifestations of suffering that form, and it is a habit. Again, it's not an intrinsic part of the mind, but it's a habit that we become used to, become familiar with, assume its reality, and so that we take on that suffering, and it. It is, say, when we are, say, willing to see things clearly, see things through the lens of an understanding of yeah, mindfulness, seeing things in the light of Dhamma, then then we realize that we are inflicting a certain sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief on ourselves through attachment, through clinging, through delusion, through not understanding the true nature of things. So that the Buddha is giving us the tools to free the heart from those, and that's its purpose. Those four foundations of mindfulness that the Buddha taught are for that purpose. So that the fourth thing is attaining the true way. That there is a way, there is a path of a practice, this Noble Eightfold Path that the Buddha laid out for the freedom from suffering, cessation of suffering, and it can be cultivated, it can be developed, it can be lived, and but it takes a perspective. So that having that perspective of these four foundations of mindfulness is a essential tool that the Buddha gives us for say realizing, recognizing, understanding, penetrating this path. And the last is for realization of Nibbana. And Nibbana being the, say, complete cessation of suffering, or the complete overcoming of cessation, ending of greed, hatred, and delusion. That is the goal. The Buddha, he's not. He's holding out the highest goal to us as a possibility. He's not. It's not like a second-rate kind of goal that you may or may not be able to get a glimpse of, and you'll need to kind of lay some get in good with somebody, some force of nature or something. No, this cultivation of these satipatthana, these four foundations of mindfulness, is for the realization of Nibbana, and it is a realizable goal. It's not just a theoretical possibility after countless lifetimes in samsara. No, it is a tangible goal that we can be setting our attention towards. And these are the tools, these four foundations of mindfulness. So that to recognize that this is it is a direct path. It's a path that leads in that direction. It's for the purification of beings, overcoming of sorrow and lamentation, elimination of pain and grief, attaining of the true way, realization of nibbana. And that's how the Buddha begins the discourse on the four foundations of mindfulness. setting that purpose, setting that goal, setting the parameters of what it's for. And I think, as we begin a 10-day retreat, those are great sort of parameters to set for oneself. Those are great foundations to establish as a guidepost for what are we doing? What do we want to do? What do we want to accomplish? How are we? How's it going? Because it's not that difficult to practice meditation or live this human life for the increase of sorrow, lamentation, and for the amplification of pain and grief. I mean, we tend to do that pretty well, actually. But that's not what the Buddhist teachings are for. That's not what the tools that he is giving us are for. So just to be reminding ourselves, fairly frequently and consistently that what's it for? What are we doing? And then as we reflect on, say, mindfulness as a practice, then that's a way of holding attention, and whether we're sitting, walking, standing, lying down, that we can be attending to how are we holding this mindfulness, and we can be applying our attention with mindfulness. Well, it's irrespective of posture. You adjust it and modulate it depending on the posture or the activity or the engagement, but it is the mind is always capable of establishing this quality of mindfulness. So just to be encouraging ourselves to remind, because it's part of mindfulness, part of the function of mindfulness. I mean, there's several definitions that the Buddha gives, but one of them is that is a function of remembering or recollecting, bringing to mind the Pali word for mindfulness is sati, and its root sat is the same as in thinking of the five khandhas, the five aggregates of being, of sanya. It's the same root, so it's like memory and perception. So that sati, that bringing to mind being able to recollect, bringing to mind what has happened or what has been reflected on before, or has been heard before, has been studied before, experience that we've had. It can be brought to mind. and of course applying it so that it is for the the growth in and development of wholesome, skillful qualities of mind, and for the relinquishing of the unwholesome, the unskillful. And those are, one can be discerning clearly what is, what's beneficial, what's useful, what's skillful. That's part of the function of mindfulness. And when and of course the four foundations of mindfulness: body, feeling, mind, and mental phenomena. Those are these four foundations, and that covers everything that we would experience. So that we can direct that attention, direct that mindfulness, that awareness to the to what we are experiencing, and recognizing that when we do direct attention in a skillful way, that will there be there's a well-being that is there. There's just because it's deeply satisfying. Because our attention tends to be divided so much, the mind being scattered or being obsessed with something that is unskillful or is complicating for ourselves, and so it tends not to be so satisfying. But it's like similar, like just on a mundane level. If one is in order to just listen to music and to really enjoy it, one can't absorb attention into criticizing, commentating about it, speculating about how it should be, how it might not be, all of that kind of speculation, proliferation, criticize, that dulls the enjoyment of listening to music. But if one can just listen and be attentive to music, it's a very enjoyable experience. Or just, again, on a mundane level, just eating food, eating a meal. Just how much of our just eating something starts going off into a commentary about comparing it to some past meal, past taste, past sensation, or worrying about whether it was you got it all down right, and all of that complicates it, and so then it's not quite so enjoyable. So the same is true of just the ordinariness of our day-to-day life, or like in our meditation. it's so much of our attention gets drawn into that inner commentator, comparing, projecting, worrying, that we miss the opportunity to enjoy just being mindful, being present, being content with the experience as it is. Say the posture of sitting, the sensation of the breath. There's something deeply satisfying in that simplicity when we attend to it, when we allow attention to sustain itself with that focus, and not get upset and dismayed when attention wanders. It's just as you recognize it and you reestablish attention. Just picking up in terms of meditation, we're just picking up an object of attention and sustaining that attention, and then reestablishing that attention when it wanders. And of course there's many techniques and tools, and I tend to emphasize mindfulness of breathing, but even then I still talk about other forms of meditation. But fundamentally, it's an exercise of mindfulness, an exercise of cultivation of awareness and attention. So to be recognizing that whatever object we are picking up and using, could be Buddho as a recitation, could be the breath, could be loving kindness meditation, could be 32 parts of the body meditation, could be any number of things, or contemplation of, say, impermanence, unsatisfactory is not self. There's again the objects of attention are quite numerous, but the basis, the foundation, really has to be the quality of mindfulness, and so that and again the Buddha gives mindfulness as it's always a critical factor in his teaching. It has a central place, so that there's four foundations of mindfulness are a discourse that is highly revered throughout Buddhist cultures, because of the or Theravada Buddhist cultures, because of the central place that the Buddha set it, and the Buddha himself said that if he taught, say, whenever he said it, so probably some point in his teaching career, and if he, so within those say 45 years of his teaching, and if he taught, he said if he taught from morning till night and took a break for meals and for answering the calls of nature, and for a period of sleep, he could teach about the four foundations of mindfulness until he died, and he wouldn't exhaust the what could be said or what would be useful about giving instruction on the four foundations of mindfulness. So that it has this very central place in the Buddha's teachings. I would say when the Buddha talks about, say, like the basis of say spiritual faculties, spiritual power. There's 5 kind of faculties, powers: faith, effort, mindfulness, samadhi, concentration, and wisdom, discernment. And mindfulness has a central central place in terms of balancing those different factors. Or set of teachings that the Buddha gives that he relied on over and over again are the 7 factors of awakening. And the very first factor of awakening is mindfulness. And then all of the other factors are kind of subsequent to that. And similarly, he in that set of teachings, there were say mindfulness, investigation of Dhamma, effort, joy, tranquility, concentration, equanimity. So 3 of those are kind of active factors, and 3 of them are, say, more passive or settled factors. And the mindfulness was what, even though it was your initiating factor of awakening, it was also the factor that helped to balance those other factors, so that mindfulness is always providing a certain, that recollection, that awareness, that attention, that is alert to what's happening. What am I feeling? What am I experiencing? Is it beneficial? Is it useful? Is it going in the right direction? Is it going to accomplish those goals that that the Buddha set out at the very beginning? I said that for the purification of beings, for the realization of nibbana. Those are is it going to accomplish that? So that's a function of mindfulness, and with mindfulness, again in the discourse that the Buddha gives, he points to 4 components of mindfulness that are important, because there's sometimes a bit of confusion as to what mindfulness is in terms of being, say, like impartial observer, or and to a certain extent it is. I mean, but I think it's helpful to always return to, well, what did the Buddha say? How did he describe it? And there is an idiom that the Buddha uses in description, that is repeated over and over and over again. describing the establishing of mindfulness, and so that in Pali, atapi sampajano satima vinaya lokaya bicha domanasa. So it's a atapi is Ajahn Jeff translates it as ardent, and I think that's a great translation, because it atapi is a pointing to effort. Effort. There's. It's not a passive, like passive non-engagement. There is some effort there, and in the Thai language, when it's translated, it's like having the bringing up the effort or energy for the overcoming or burning up of defilements, tapas in say like in Hindu, ancient Indian spiritual practice is kind of fires, a burning up, spiritual heat, and for the Buddha, of course, the Buddha wasn't into spiritual heat; he was into spiritual cooling, and so but that sense of that cooling, settling of the stains, the defilements of the mind, the complications and problematic nature of our habitual processes. So atapi, and it takes a certain amount of takes a certain amount of takes a certain amount of effort, because it isn't accomplished just through a kind of wishful thinking. Any mindfulness, any practice, and certainly the Buddha's path. As recently, I came across a great Calvin and Hobbes cartoon, and Calvin is kind of vegging out in front of the television and watching TV, and he's in the easy chair, and Hobbes asks him, "Oh, what you doing?" And Calvin says, "Oh, I'm killing time while I wait for life to shower me with meaning and happiness." And that's, it's a nice thought, but it takes a little bit more effort than that, and certainly that sense of atapi. There is some ardency is required for mindfulness to really kick in, to have some oomph behind it, and to sustain itself. Which doesn't mean you get all, wigged out on forcing yourself to be mindful. That's another complication. That is say mindfulness is helping to balance oneself with. But so atapi sampajano is the clear comprehension. Ajahn Jeff translates it as alert, alertness. There's an alertness, a presence that is recognizing context. It's recognizing trajectory. Where is this going? What's happening here? And in the Visuddhimagga, the say Path of Purification, a great commentarial text by Acharya Buddhaghosa, an ancient text, and that the commentators say that clear sampajanya, that clear comprehension, is another word for wisdom, for discernment. So it's that the active engagement of discernment, and so clearly comprehending, understanding the say suitability, the time and place, the efficacy of what one's doing, the purpose of what one's doing it for, and bringing a quality of non-delusion into that. So that sense of so ardent, alert. Satima is like, of course, mindful, but it's say the word satima is like maybe possessed of mindfulness, having mindfulness, being mindful, being imbued with this quality of mindfulness, having that awareness. So it's a being present, being alert, being there for what we're experiencing, not getting entangled in the habitual tendency to projecting about the future, worrying about the past, being entangled in some kind of attachment, clinging, fear, anxiety. It's just, okay, this is what it is right now. This is what I'm experiencing. It's like this, and that is there's a clarity there. And the last quality that is a constituent of mindfulness is the an overcoming of the covetousness and grief towards the world is usually how it's translated. It's just being not getting caught up in the liking and disliking, the wanting, the not wanting, the approving, disapproving, all of those habits of mind toward the world, and that's a vinaya loke abhijha dhomanasa. So it's like and when the Buddha says world, like I mentioned it last night, the world being the world of it's not out there, it's right here. The world of what we see, hear, smell, taste, touch, experience through the mind, that is the world. Or there's another definition that the Buddha gives of the world. And the Buddha says, say that whereby one conceives of the world or perceives the world, that is the world. It's sort of that tendency to conceiving, conceptualizing, perceiving, recognizing. That is the world. It's right here. This is where what we call the world is it's not outside. And so often we want the world to to be a happy, peaceful place. We want to live in a happy, peaceful world, and but this is where we experience the world. So that learning how to be very clear, what's our priority? Our priority is putting this world in order in terms of this conglomerate of eye, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. This conglomerate that keeps conceiving and perceiving the world around it. We can do something about that. For the most part, we don't have a whole lot of control of what what the world is doing, but we can take responsibility for this corner of the world. And actually, if we did that, there would be, and if more people did that, we probably would live in a happier, peaceful world. But that's conceiving as well. So it's that sense of recognizing these parameters of and constituents of mindfulness, and developing a continuity of attention, of awareness, of being present. There's different ways of talking about it, but that as we begin this retreat, then I think putting those four foundations of mindfulness front and center, recollecting, reminding ourselves that this is an essential basis for our developing and cultivating, not just of, say, peaceful states of mind in meditation, but putting ourselves squarely on the path of practice that leads to the ending of suffering, and gives us the fundamental tools that allows us to experience and taste the fruits of the Buddha's teachings. So I'll offer that for reflection this morning, and as we this morning after the talk, then we can transition into if people want to continue sitting, please continue sitting. If people want to have a bit of a break and do some walking meditation, and then come back for sitting after, this is the opportunity that people have for developing the four foundation of mindfulness in whether it's walking meditation, sitting meditation, and then we'll gather at 11 for the meal blessing.